Right, Victory CP1. Now, I've only got a small garden, and it upsets the neighbours if I start shooting too much, so I needed a silencer for it. Only I don't want to use telescopic sights, so I wanted a silencer that I could use with these bog standard sights. So I designed my own, and this is it. And you've seen it working. So what I've brought it out here for is to weigh it, because that is a valid question. Hang on. Switch this on. 0. That says, if you can see it, that says 46 grams. 46 grams. And as a matter of interest, I wanted the strength in this end, so it balances towards the back, towards the barrel, but it doesn't balance that much. I mean, you have to go there, about there. It's only just to the back, which I think it's because I've put this plastic bit on the end and a bit of arrow dye that's probably tipped it, but the thing is, it's strong enough at the back so you can grip it and you can put it on the gun, and for what I wanted, it's ideal because it works. So here we are. I've been watching a video on YouTube, been watching loads of videos on YouTube actually, and about the theory of silencers, and I thought, why can't you have the entry point going in offset? I mean, they're all in the middle, they're all made of steel. Why? I mean, you have car exhausts where the entry and exit is in the side of a offset to the centre line of a silencer. Why not in a moderator? So I thought, I'll give it a go. I don't know what I'm doing, but I'll give it a go. And I think it's worked. In fact, I'm fairly confident that it's worked. But this guy was on about the expansion at the end of the barrel, where it comes out and there's this big expansion. You've got to kill that first, which is why I've left a bit of a gap, and then first, what do you call it, baffle, that's the word, baffle. Everybody repeat that, baffle. The first baffle is about there, then there's a second one about there, and there's one just at the end there. For no particular reason. Is it because I saw people putting baffles in, so I thought I'll put some baffles in. So what? The join is about there, and then I use that foam, which you'll see. So that's the idea. I thought, well, we'll have a bit of an expansion chamber there, and then the baffles, and off you go. So what I'll do now is I'll try and draw that bit there, which is the ferrule that fits it onto the barrel. Okay, first things first. I measured the diameter of that, and it's 20 mil. That isn't that. I found that laying around. You always look for something, don't you? That is, well, what is it? It's a basher. I bought a bird feeding station, and you have to put a pole in the ground. And that just came with it, because you put that in the middle of the pole and then you whack the top of it with a hammer, and it saves you damaging the pole. But of course it's in the ground now, so that's scrap. And it's about 15 mil, so I'm going to turn that out and make that into, hopefully, a sleeve for that. We'll see how it goes. Now, that's the dimensions I've used, but you don't have to use that. You've got to use that 20 mil because that's the diameter that fits over the barrel. But this, the thicker that you make that, obviously the outer bog roll comes around here like that, and the thicker you make that, the more it stands up with your foresight. So the foresight, for instance, is sitting there and it's going to be so high, and the thicker you make that is the less of the foresight you'll see. So if you can make that thinner, so much the better. I just use what I got to hand. And also just there, I've drawn that round because I actually drilled a hole there to make that round so that the foresight actually slides in there. But the only reason I made that round was for engineering purposes, because a round finish like that is always stronger than sharp edges in case of any splits or anything. It just makes it stronger. Just something that I do. Doesn't have to be round, but there you go. So there you go, 50mm long, 30mm, but even that's not set in stone. I mean, they want to be long enough to obviously fit on the barrel, but that's what I used. Here it is. I've turned it down to that using 20mm. So it's got a 20mm hole in it, and it goes over there. Oh, look at that, nice fit. I've got to cut it now for the sight. Next job. Right, this stuff, look at it. This is for rotten wood, as the picture shows at the bottom there. And it basically binds the fibres back together of the rotten wood. And I thought, well, if it binds fibres together, what other fibres could it bind together? A bog roll, cardboard. Cardboard is fibres. And what's happened here is that I've treated half of it with that stuff and left it overnight to see if it made any difference. And to be honest, if I squeeze it, which you can't feel, but if I squeeze that a little bit and it deflects, try and do the same, it is a bit stiffer. It's not massively stiffer, but the next part of the experiment is to varnish it. So I'm going to use some varnish. In actual fact, I'm not going to use that. I'm going to use this one, because this is satin and I don't like the finish on it for varnish, so I'm using it for other rubbish, and that would be ideal because it'll have the strength of polyurethane. So I'm going to coat that with polyurethane and see if that strengthens it up enough to use. So what part of the experiment? Right, a while ago I was watching a YouTube video on boat repairs and boat building, and they used polyurethane adhesive which expands and fills gaps. So I had a search around and I found this stuff which is about to appear, and this is it. It's Everbuild wood adhesive, 30-minute. You can get 5-minute, which I wouldn't trust 5 minutes because I wouldn't get anything done in 5 minutes. This is 30 minutes and it's polyurethane adhesive. And what you do is you put it on and you activate it with a drop of water, just a little spray. And it's effectively, it is Gorilla Glue without the name and the price tag. It is a third of the price of Gorilla Glue. Now, if you want to go and spend all your money because it makes you feel secure with all the American marketing, then go and buy Gorilla Glue. But I'll carry on buying that because it's great stuff at a reasonable price. And it adds a lot of strength to this. I've glued that ABS piece on the end, and that's where it's going to be handled. That's where you're going to handle it every time you put it on the gun, and it's worked a treat. There you go, a joining piece to join two toilet rolls together. If you used to watch Blue Peter, you will have seen Valerie Singleton do this hundreds of times. And it's dead easy. A bit of PVA glue to stick it all together. But in the next section I'll show you the baffles. I'm not very clear. They're not shown very clear. They're just made of leather cloth circles, which there's 3 of them, and I glue them in. There you go. I've speeded the film up here because it just gets boring otherwise. I've not put any music on this one, have I? Yeah. I don't think I will either. Somebody said once they don't like it. Then after you've added the first baffle, you put in the remaining 2 bits of foam and further baffles. As many as you want, actually. You can add as many as you like, can't you? Right, the final, well, almost the final thing. Put that on. Marked it. Line that up with that. And then glue it. Excuse the wobbly camera work, but this is the editing software for this video, and I'm just trying to show you the two peaks for the test. Here's the two peaks here. Blimey, it's all over the place, look. Oh. That's without the silencer, that's with the silencer. Now there's a tiny difference, but you can hear a difference in real life more than you can hear it on the video. It definitely just takes the crack out of it. But then, what would you expect for nothing? So in conclusion, I would say that this has been a success. It's cost me absolutely nothing. If I did it again, one thing that I would probably do would be to cut some sort of V shape on the inside of the foam. Like if you see pictures of an anechoic chamber, a true anechoic chamber, they have this like spiky foam on the wall. And I would sort of try and reproduce that. But apart from that, I'd leave it as it is.